insane. Crumbling towers, streets in flames, forgotten heroes, who knows their names? Broken future, shattered dreams, end of times ain't what it seems.
Hello friends, this is Sam Cheney reporting for Weaponized News. Today, September 1st, 2025. Thank you for joining us on this Labor Day, Monday. Happy Labor Day to you out there on the interwebs. I'm laboring away for you on the news, as usual. Shout out to the Weaponized News hounds. Arr, 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 arr. Okay, what do we got today? We got, well, it's Labor Day, so the government doesn't work, but we do here at Weaponized News. We got propaganda coming out of the government, as usual. We'll show you. They did keep the propaganda arm of the government working today because they're posting on the interwebs how great everything is. America first is worker first. We're going to get to that. We're going to talk deportations. How's Trump measuring up to the previous 6 administrations? Because they sure pump out a lot of propaganda, but they're not moving many of these illegals out. We'll get to those numbers. We'll get to what is all going on at these, quote, immigrant detention centers. As it appears, Alligator Alcatraz is set to close down. I don't know how many hundreds of millions was spent. A lot. And so what are we getting for all this? You know what I mean? And so we'll go over some of these reports. What else do we got today? Trump's positioning to go into Chicago. The Chicago mayor signed an executive order to not basically go along with the federal government. I don't know. That situation's going to come to a head. Apparently, crime has been solved in D.C., according to Trump, until somebody decides to commit another crime. So I don't know, man. What are we going to do here? Always have National Guard on the streets? They still haven't arrested anybody in the government, and that's the true criminals. Above your street level thugs are your government, you see. And this whole pyramid of power we find ourselves controlled by, and none of these, no corrupt government official, politician, anybody gets in trouble for all the crimes against humanity they've committed against us here now. So it kind of falls short. There were massive protests. I don't know about massive. Labor unions, community groups joined forces for Labor Day protests against Trump and billionaires. Where were you guys all during the Biden administration? It's the same oligarchy, same billionaires, because you don't like Trump. And so that all rings hollow and falls short. I'd be on your guys' side 100% if you were saying we're against Biden and the billionaires. We're against Trump and the billionaires. The oligarchy, same guys. They put a new puppet. Last puppet Biden, this puppet Trump. You know what I'm saying here? So we'll go over that a little bit. The protests, what do we even get out of these protests? We got a bunch of public health news. They're shaking up the CDC. They tell us, oh my God, we're all going to, catch a disease because the CDC was keeping us safe this whole time. So we're going to go over all that. Trump has put out a post on his Truth Social that now he's possibly questioning Operation Warp Speed. We'll go over that. This is nonsense. But, in your U.S. government, was this out of News Nation? They did an investigation. Turns out the U.S. government conducted secretive toxic fog test over St. Louis, dispersing a chemical laced with a cancer-causing agent onto thousands of unaware citizens. A continuing trend here now, the government doing these eugenics experiments on the general public without consent. So why are they not all in prison here now? They're given awards, grants, $1 billion, and we have to praise how wonderful they all are here now. So we got that report. We had a bunch of geopolitical news. Things are heating up between Venezuela, America, Guyana there. America keeps putting bounties on top Venezuelan officials' heads. And so we're going to cover all that. And then, of course, the big news was the SCO New World Order, the New World Order, the new era, as Simon and I reported on, a year ago here now. And it's coming to fruition more and more as they had a big SCO meeting, the Shanghai Cooperation Organization, had all your BRICS countries there, had basically the rest of the world. So it's besides Europe. So all of the, quote, third world, developing world, whatever you want to call them, global south, the rest of the world, 85% of the rest of the world is saying they're tired of America's bullying, hegemonic behavior. I don't blame them, honestly, here now. And so we're going to go over all that. We've really been painted into a corner with these Trump tariffs. So you had, of course, the big players there, BRICS, but really China, Russia, India, all aligning there economically to say we're done with you, America, and your tariff threats, Trump. And we're going to go ahead and develop our own systems because you sanction us and we can't operate. And so what are we supposed to do? Do you really blame them? But anything for America to hold on to hegemony, right? The genocide continues there in aardvark land. That's the big headline today, is that this group, I don't know what took them so long, International Association of Genocide Scholars has now declared genocide going on there in aardvark land. How long have we been saying it at Weaponized News? For a very, very long time, because it's been obvious to anyone watching about what is all going on there. So all of that to unfold for you today as aardvarks are preparing to wipe out everybody in Gaza City. They're annexing the West Bank, and they're preparing to arm the settlers as well. As IDF says that you can't defeat the idea of Hamas again. You can't defeat an idea, but they'll keep telling everybody around, you're a Hamas. So yeah, they're carrying out famine, siege, starvation. They've weaponized aid, food aid, water aid. And so indeed, it's genocide. The whole world is coming to recognize this now, except for here in America. And so it's going to be America and aardvark land standing against the rest of the world, calling everybody antiseptic. And so isn't this all fun? It's truly disgusting, despicable. And they're doing dark cult ritual blood sacrifices on the daily. They're against the Palestinians, is what all this amounts to. Okay, let's get to, so we got a lot of news to cover today. Let's get to this day in history. On this day in history of September 1st, we go back to the year 1739, and 35 aardvarks were sentenced to life in prison in Lisbon, Portugal on this day. And so they were noticing in Portugal way back there in 1739. In 1798, we saw the first U.S. bank robbery. The Bank of Pennsylvania at Carpenter's Hall in Philadelphia was robbed of $162,821. That's a lot of money in 1798. And then subsequently, 1 year later, in the year 1799, Bank of Manhattan Company opens in New York City, a forerunner for Chase Manhattan, JP Morgan Chase. Incredible criminals. And so who's robbing who at these bank robberies? The bank or the bank robbers? We should ask ourselves that question. In 1807, on this day, Aaron Burr is acquitted of charges of plotting to set up an empire. He was acquitted of treason charges against America on this day. Third vice president of the United States, famously shot Alexander Hamilton in that duel. Bring back political duels. That would solve a lot of our problems, honestly. Fast forward here to 1862. Of course, all taxation's theft. In 1862, on this day, the federal government levied tax on tobacco. What don't they tax nowadays? I mean, they literally tax everything we touch, and multiple taxes. Buying, selling, up, down, spin a circle, they tax your ass. In 1916, on this day, kicking off, not really, but we did kick off, well, we'll get to that. 1916, on this day, part of World War I, Bulgaria declares war on Romania. And back here in America, in 1916, on this day, U.S. Keating-Owen Act bans child labor, banning from interstate commerce. Well, isn't that good of them? And then we fast forward a few years here to 1923. A theme on this day, too, was massive earthquakes killing a lot of people, sadly, very tragically. In 1923, on this day, a magnitude 7.9 earthquake hits Tokyo and Yokohama, Japan, killing an estimated 142,000 people. Fast forward a little bit, on this day in 1938, fascist dictator of Italy, Benito Mussolini, cancels civil rights of all Italian aardvarks. So when you know, well, Mussolini noticed. And the next year, in 1939, Adolf Hitler orders extermination of mentally ill through Acton T4 euthanasia program, arguing that wartime was the best time for the elimination of the incurably ill. And we see that same type of program alive and well up there in Canada, the MAIDS program, and here in America too. Here in America too. Not at the scale of MAIDS quite yet, under different guises, much greater than MAIDS program. And so we'll see it come online here at a greater pace in America. Don't you worry. In 1939, on this day, World War II officially starts. World War II officially starts when Germany invades Poland by attacking the free city of Danzig. Reported by the, I think, what was it? The first report of this was deemed the scoop of the century by Telegraph journalist Claire Hollingworth. Here's the front page of the New York Times. Kicking off World War II on this day. German army attacks Poland. Cities bombed. Port blockaded. Danzig is accepted into Reich. Moving forward to the next year, or 2 years later, 1941, aardvarks living in Germany are required to wear a yellow Star of David. The next year, 1942, our big old tyranny right here at home, U.S. federal judge upholds detention of Japanese American citizens. It couldn't happen here. It wouldn't happen here. It already happened here. They put Japanese American citizens in camps for their own safety, of course. 1951, on this day, everybody's favorite intelligence agency, Mossad, was established by Prime Minister of Aardvark Land, Ben Gurion. And so, aren't they wonderful? In 1962, on this day, continuing the earthquake theme, an estimated 12,000 die in an earthquake in western Iran. And in 1969, on this day, Colonel Muammar Gaddafi deposes King Idris in the Libyan Revolution. And then today, or last 24 hours, how many? 80 estimated killed in Afghanistan earthquake. So that is quite a trend on this day of earthquakes killing people. All right. And with that, let's get to where are we at? Why do we even have Labor Day? Why is the government taking a holiday? Well, they love taking holidays and then telling us how great they all are. Again, the government can't and won't keep you safe. Labor Day is a federal holiday in the United States observed annually on the first Monday in September, dedicated to honoring the contributions and achievements of American workers and the labor movement that fought for their rights. At one time, I do believe it was needed, but now they pushed it, the pendulum all the way to the other way, where employers now, especially in the state of California, are being abused by workers, and they've made it almost impossible. I don't even know how people employ. I don't even want to employ anybody in the state of California the way things stand now, as the pendulum is swung all the way to where the workers have more rights than the damn employee. The holiday originated in the late 19th century during the height of the Industrial Revolution, again, when it was needed, when many workers endured grueling conditions, including 12-hour work days, 7 days a week, low wages, and unsafe environments, often in factory and mine settings. The push for Labor Day began with labor unions seeking recognition for workers' efforts and better treatment. Who would disagree with that? I guess capital, but not the workers, right? The first unofficial Labor Day parade was held on September 5th, 1882 in New York City, organized by the Central Labor Union and the Knights of Labor, where thousands of workers marched to advocate for an 8-hour workday and other reforms. This event aimed to unify union members and highlight the need for reduced working hours, as many saw it as a way to celebrate labor's role in building the nation's prosperity while pushing back against exploitation. The large majority of labor unions sold all of their members out during the medical intervention period. They all said, we all lived through it, recent history, but I know having a memory is a conspiracy theory. So go labor unions for standing up for your members, workers' rights, as you signed off on the medical intervention period, Operation Warp Speed. We'll get to more of that from Trump later in the show. It became a national holiday in 1894 when then President Grover Cleveland signed legislation making it official, partly in response to growing labor unrest, including the violent Pullman strike that year, which involved railroad workers protesting wage cuts and poor living conditions. Unlike International Workers' Day on May 1st, observed in many countries and tied to the Haymarket affair in Chicago, the U.S. chose September to create a less politically charged celebration focused on American workers' accomplishments rather than radical socialism. Today, Labor Day symbolizes the end of summer and is marked by parades, picnics, and relaxation, but its core purpose remains to recognize the labor movement's successes in securing fair wages, safer workplaces, and workers' rights that benefit society as a whole. Again, the pendulum has swung all the way back, way too far here now, to the workers in California, for sure. All right, let's watch this. Well, I guess we should. Well, anyway, here's the segue to the news. So the propagandists in the government are working today. Somebody posting on their social media, and so U.S. Department of Labor, it's a new dawn in America. Welcome to the golden age of the American worker. Let's watch this propaganda, and then we'll get into the news.
It's a new dawn in America. President Trump is delivering a golden age for American workers. Fair trade deals are fueling a resurgence in American industry. Wages for blue-collar workers are rising at the fastest rate in 6 decades. And the One Big Beautiful Bill is delivering historic tax cuts for working families. Happy Labor Day and welcome to the golden age of the American worker.
Golden age of the American worker. President Trump stands for the American worker, wins, wages are rising, inflation is falling. It's from the White House propaganda. I don't believe them, but this is what they're saying. Labor Day pro-worker achievement. 7 months into Trump's second term, blue-collar wages have increased 1.7% over last year. That's still not keeping pace with inflation, but whatever, dude. Inflation outpaced wages for 26 straight months under the Biden administration. Real wages have increased every month since President Trump returned to office. Real inflation-adjusted median weekly earnings are now at their highest level since the last time Trump was in office. Inflation is tracking at just 1.9% since President Trump took office. And again, they rig up all of the economic data and lie right to our face and literally laugh in our face. And so there's that too to consider when I'm reporting this propaganda from the government about the economy. Labor Day pro-worker achievements. President Trump's protectionist trade policies have helped drive more than $8 trillion in new U.S. investments, creating hundreds of thousands of jobs. Native-born employment has increased by 2,462,000 since January and accounts for all net job gains since President Trump returned to office. Sentiment for small businesses, which employ nearly half American workers, is at a 5-month high. Well, we need to go ahead and shut everything down again for, the sniffles. I think that could help. So the greatest mayor in history, they tell us, helped in large part cover up 9/11 in New York City when he was mayor there. Rudy Giuliani got in a car accident. And I wish nothing but the best of health for him, even though he's part of the 9/11 cover-up. He was in a car accident this weekend, and he's now going to be honored with the Presidential Medal of Freedom, according to Trump. So there you go. I think he should have got it for his efforts to cover up 9/11. But what the hell? He got it for being in a car wreck and lying for Trump incessantly. So I guess that's good enough. What else do we got? Just propaganda, how much the government loves you. End taxation on our labor is theft. End it. And they won't. Okay. So they care about the American worker. How are we doing on deportations here? Well, Trump pumps out the propaganda for deportations, but as far as the numbers go here, the last 6 presidential administrations as of September 1st, going all the way back to Bush 1. Bush 1 at this point in his administration saw 140,000 deportations. Clinton saw 208,000 deportations. Bush Jr. saw 850,000 deportations. Obama, 1.5, almost 6 million deportations. Trump, the first time, 1.1 million deportations. And then old Biden, 557,000 deportations. And Trump's second term, we're not looking good. We're not looking good at all. Like 250,000 deportations. They say like 1.6 million self-deported, deported themselves. We're not even keeping pace with Obama here now, as far as deportations go. So what is going on with these FEMA camps, i.e. immigrant detention centers? In late August, so last month, a series of reports highlighted escalating tensions and controversies surrounding U.S. immigration enforcement under the Trump administration. Central to these stories was the alleged uprising at the notorious Alligator Alcatraz Immigration Center in Florida's Everglades, a remote tented camp operated by the Florida Division of Emergency Management on behalf of Immigration and Customs Enforcement, ICE. Detainees reported chaotic scenes where guards deployed tear gas, conducted indiscriminate beatings with batons, and responded to shouts of freedom triggered by the news of a relative's death. Accounts describe continuous fire alarms, helicopters overhead, and multiple injuries, with at least 4 detainees affected. Well, the Florida Division of Emergency Management denied any uprising, labeling reports as manufactured or, quote, fake news, and emphasizing safe conditions. The incident occurred amid the facility's court-ordered closure for environmental violations, with a federal judge mandating shutdown within 60 days. Protesters and activists, including groups like Solidarity South Florida, framed the revolt as part of a broader resistance against inhumane conditions, drawing parallels to historical prisoner uprisings. The camp, criticized for brutality since its opening in July. Compounding these reports are allegations of systemic abuse within ICE facilities. In Pennsylvania, a lawsuit filed last month accused a Baptist chaplain, Mark Malhorn, of sexually abusing an undocumented Dominican detainee over more than a year. The abuse allegedly escalated from inappropriate comments to physical assaults in her cell, despite it being reported twice under the Prison Rape Elimination Act. Investigations deemed the claims unsubstantiated due to lack of evidence, allowing Melhorn to continue access to more potential abuse victims. The suit seeks damages against Melhorn, the GEO Group, the facility's operator, and the U.S. government, highlighting a pattern of sexual abuse in ICE detention facilities. Are we really surprised? Not really. Amid growing scrutiny of ICE operations, Activists employed artificial intelligence to unmask masked ICE agents. Netherlands-based activist Dominic Skinner led the, quote, ICE list campaign using AI to generate unmasked images from potential facial visibility, required at least 35% of exposure, and cross-referencing them with tools like PIM-Eyes to identify over 100 ICE employees, while Skinner emphasized public accountability through shaming rather than vigilante justice. ICE condemns the efforts of doxing, arguing masks are for safety amid rising threats. Lawmakers responded with bills like the Visible Act, requiring officer identification, and Protecting Law Enforcement from Doxing Act. Criminally such disclosures underscoring debate over privacy, technology reliability, and government transparency. These domestic issues intersected with aggressive deportation policies, including sending migrants to third countries, not their country of origin. In July, the administration deported 5 men, including Jamaican citizen Orville Ortia, convicted of murder in 1996 but released in 2001, to a small African nation with a poor human rights record. SCO, I don't even know what this country is, can't even pronounce it. Eswatini officials, blindsided by the move, requested $500 million from the U.S. to detain deportees, five people, while also offering to hold 150 others for over $10 million. The men remained imprisoned in Eswatini for nearly 2 months, with the UN facilitating repatriation amid challenges from local activists decrying the secretive, unconstitutional agreement. This policy, enabled by a June Supreme Court ruling extending to other nations like Rwanda, Uganda, and South Sudan, raising concerns about due process abuse and labeling deportees depraved monsters, despite home countries' willingness to accept them. So I'm all for it, deport them all. But they do deserve due process. We need due process, because if we don't give them due process, then we're not going to get any due process. You see how that works. Yeah. So, but hey, we got martial law in DC, so we should cheer that on. Making DC safe again. On this Labor Day, we honor the men and women in law enforcement who work tirelessly day and night to keep our communities safe. Again, the government can't and won't keep you safe. They're bragging 1,999 arrests, 165 illegal guns seized there in Washington, D.C. And so I guess we have to have permanent martial law on the streets to not have crime, to be declared a crime-free zone. And so there are groups pushing back against Trump. Unions, community groups join forces for Labor Day protests against Trump and the billionaires. Again. Where were you? It's the same oligarchy in control for all of your lifetimes. And so Trump just got your ire up. Here's a little bit of a video of these protests. I wish they would be so inclined to protest with the Democrat administration, but something turns the knob off there. Go figure.
We must, not simply for a choice of the cruelty of Trump or a broken status quo, we must demand a better life
back to the theme. There are no good guys. This teachers union woman, a piece of trash.
One job should be enough. Public schools should be strengthened, not abandoned. Higher education should be affordable. Social Security should be saved. Medicare and Medicaid should be sacrosanct. Why are these demands not the demands of every single politician in Washington?
And so there you go. They're trying to prop up a failing system, failing Ponzi scheme system. She's making a whole lot of money. It's just disgusting. There are no good guys in this. But somehow they rally the Democrats to think they're the good guys. Workers over billionaires. Where were you guys the last 5 years? Oh, it was okay because there was Democrats in there, allegedly. It's all the same crime syndicate known as the government that leads all of you idiots around by the nose. Here they are, Mayday strong. Power to the workers for the commies. And of course, Mayday is steeped in dark occultism as well. Workers over billionaires. I agree. But they never get to the root of the problem. The central bank, the private central bank here in America, the Federal Reserve, the same oligarchs in charge under a Democrat and a Republican, they never get to the root of the problem and just run you around in circles. And so we take a look, all of these, they're all making a bunch of money, all these organizations. Maybe some of it's getting cut off. But I like this part at the very end. Who we are, our demands to build the society we deserve. Stop the billionaire takeover corrupting our government. It's laughable. This is literally laughable at this point. The same oligarchy under Biden, under Trump. Protect and defend Medicaid, Social Security, and other programs for working people. Taxation's theft, especially this Ponzi scheme known as Social Security tax, they pull directly out of your paycheck without you don't even have a choice. And try being self-employed, it's double the tax you see here now. But if you lead around idiots by the nose, then they don't care, apparently. Fully funded schools. They've thrown $1 billion at schools that are complete and utter failures by design, the dumbing down of America by design, and healthcare and housing, all the same BS. Stop the attacks on immigrants, blacks, indigenous, trans, and all our communities. Really? Invest in people, not wars. Join us this Labor Day. And you can see a very fancy website there. They got a bunch of money to fund it. What do they say? They say 1,000+ events, 800 cities and towns, 600 or 60,000 workers, 200+ partners. You got to give them that. They are extremely well organized and funded, but they again missed the point. They missed the point entirely here now. On to public health. Former CDC director says RFK Jr. is endangering America's health. Again, they missed the point. We'll get to that. Here's the report from ABC News.
This morning, 9 former directors or acting directors of the CDC are accusing Health and Human Services Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr. of endangering the health of every American. The assertion comes in an op-ed piece in this morning's New York Times, days after Kennedy fired Susan Menares, the newly hired chief of the CDC. And joining us now is one of the authors of this op-ed. He is former acting director of the CDC and our former ABC News chief medical editor, Dr. Richard Besser. Dr. Besser, good morning. Thank you for joining us.
Good morning, Rebecca. It's great to be here.
And this is unusual. You have a number of former officials coming together of all stripes. They served both Democrats and Republicans, making this very significant assertion. Can you give us a sense of why this matters and what it could mean for the country?
Yeah, Rebecca, this kind of an action is unprecedented. We have a CDC director or acting director going all the way back from the Carter administration, every administration to including the Trump administration. The reason we put this out is that we have grave concerns that the Secretary of Health is endangering the health of people across our nation by not letting the agency do its job, not following the science, and putting out guidance like you were just talking about around COVID vaccine that is leading to confusion and will leave many people in our nation very unprotected for this COVID season, as well as for any of the public health threats we know will be coming our way.
Dr. Besser, what are you hoping to accomplish with this op-ed?
Well, we're hoping for a number of things. One is to keep the attention on this. This is not business as usual. What we're asking for is for Congress to fulfill its obligation of oversight for the department and make sure that this is not allowed to just continue. In addition to the firing of the CDC director, we saw the loss last week of critical leaders of the agency, individuals who were responsible for developing vaccine recommendations, individuals who were responsible for responding to the next pandemic or the next big outbreak, those who have the responsibility for making sure that children don't start smoking and that communities have clean water and that when you go to the swimming pool, the water is safe. The agency supports every state health department, local health department, and this will hit people in every single community across America. We need to draw attention to this. What
do you say to those who might believe this is about personality or politics and what this all means for Americans?
Well, one of our hopes was by having someone who was in every single administration, we would try and take the political issue off the table for us. This is purely politics and ideology by Secretary Kennedy. He brought in a director for the CDC who is a gifted scientist. As soon as she started to exert her authority as a scientist, he had her removed. That is unacceptable. I recommend that people turn to their doctors, their nurses, their pharmacists for the best advice in terms of vaccines and other health issues. At this point, it's very hard to look at what's coming out of the CDC and have confidence that it's the best information for you and your family.
The new CDC director is Jim O'Neill, and he's a Peter Thiel guy, worked at his hedge funds, and on it goes. So there are no good guys again, and yeah, we are being endangered here, but not for the reasons that clown hack shill just told us. Should we take a look here? I looked it up earlier because I was like, really? Yeah, kind of really. Jim O'Neill, man. It's you can go right to his Wikipedia. I don't even hardly ever even use Wikipedia, but people do use it to make the connections, right? To show you their background. I guess it's good at that until they go ahead and scrub that. So here's our guy, and they're not mad at him for this. Jim O'Neill. And so he's deep in it. He's been in it a long time. He is the new he's the new head of the CDC. But you see, go down here a little bit. Oh well, it's perfectly fine, because O'Neill was managing director at Clarium Capital, a hedge fund led by Peter Thiel, Mr. Technocracy. You see, and worked during his time was CEO of the Thiel Foundation. So it is Mr. scientific dictatorship, technocracy. What a wonderful scientist the new head of the CDC is here now. They quietly admitted, Health and Human Services, that they were harvesting organs at U.S. hospitals. But we're getting it back under control, they say. HHS is launching a public dashboard that surveils when organ offers and transplants occur outside the standard list of matched patients, giving clear information about whether the system is operating fairly. It's quite horrific. Here you go. So you need a organ. They got a dashboard for you here. And you can go through there and track your organ. I imagine they have the same dashboard through Palantir Foundry system, profiling every American. And they know more about you than you know about yourself here now. Instead of pushing mandates, we must inspire confidence with trustworthy and timely data. The head of the FDA says our FDA action, make bat miracle mandates illegal, require miracle makers to complete updated clinical trials by May, keep miracles available for anyone who wants them. And there you go. And so the religion of miracles just won't die. And they're doing a sleight of hand here. Here's Trump. He put this out, and he was putting out a bunch of Q bullshit too. Getting all the idiot internet riddlers to jump up and down. It's psyop bullshit, and you should be insulted at this point. But I don't know if they're bots, real people. Does it even matter? There's no good guys. You understand? No good guys. Trump put this post out on Truth Social earlier today. He said it's very important that the drug companies justify the success of their various bat drugs. Many people think they are a miracle that saved millions of lives. I don't know who thinks this, just shill quacks working for Big Pharma, but and Trump. Others disagree. Well, you got me disagreeing there, Trump. With CDC being ripped apart over this question, I want the answer, and I want it now. Well, we've been screaming at you since the whole thing came online there with your Operation Warp Speed, Trump, and you refuse to listen. I have been showing information from Pfizer and others that is extraordinary, but they never seem to show those results to the public. Why not? Because they're lying, Trump. You can't be this naive and stupid. You're acting like a little child. They go off to Next Hunt and let everyone rip themselves apart, including Bobby Kennedy Jr. and CDC, trying to figure out the success or failure of the drug companies' bat work. They show me great numbers and results, but they don't seem to be showing them to many others. If this is true, you got played like a little child here now, Trump, didn't you? But it's not true because he's running psyops on us. I want them to show them now, the CDC and the public, and clear up this mess one way or another. I hope Operation Warp Speed was as brilliant as many say it was. If not, we all want to know about it and why. Thank you for your attention to this very important matter. Really, dude? Really? VAR's system told us already. That's their own reporting system. And it already told us the answer a long, long freaking time ago. And we reported it and got banned on the internet for it. So screw you, Trump, and screw you, big tech, and all the rest of you lying criminals. Here you go. U.S. government conducting secretive biological chemical weapons experiments on the population there in St. Louis. Let's watch this report out of News Nation. Not gonna let me play it. I'm gonna play this. The X didn't like it, but we're still gonna reload it and play it. Man, they got this thing throttled like you would not believe. Here we go.
Summertime, it was hot. We would just run through it as fast as we could and try to just cool ourselves off. It stuck to you.
The spray was so foul as far as the odor. It made some of us have headaches, nausea, dizziness.
That's what I remember. It made me sick.
It wasn't the weather. It was an eerie smoke descending from rooftops, rolling from the backs of trucks.
Regular flatbed truck, but it had a big machine on the back. And it had a big nozzle that really sprayed a fog you couldn't even see through. It was that thick, and it really, we felt it as it would adhere to our skin. And as far as the guys on top of the buildings, they tried to portray them to us as maintenance workers. But we was like, what is a maintenance worker doing? And basically a hazmat suit, and they had masks and goggles.
In the 1950s and 60s, in secret, the U.S. Army sprayed zinc cadmium sulfide into the air of a St. Louis housing project, a largely black neighborhood called Pruitt-Igoe.
It was a lose-lose situation for us in Pruitt-Igoe. We were subjects. We were subjects.
They didn't ask for our permission. We didn't ask for them to spray us. My government used me like I was a guinea pig.
We're standing at where Pruitt-Igoe used to be here in St. Louis, and it's hard to believe more than 10,000 people used to live here. As we bring our drone up, you can see it's mostly just an empty lot now, overgrown with trees. This used to be filled with 33 high-rise buildings. It was all demolished in 1976. And according to the National Research Council, St. Louis was chosen for spraying experiments because it had similar characteristics to Soviet targets like Moscow in terms of population density and terrain and proximity to a river.
The government now admits to a secretive series of Cold War tests, including one dubbed Large Area Coverage. More than 30 tests conducted across the U.S. and Canada, spraying zinc cadmium sulfide from planes, rooftops, and vehicles to simulate how a biological attack might spread, all to prepare for potential warfare against the Soviets.
Many of us been in the military and had top secret clearances. We know how it works.
We have died for America. We have fought for America.
You are a veteran.
I am United States Air Force veteran.
Dr. Starks, you're a veteran as well, isn't
Yes, I am. I'm an Air Force veteran also.
Is there a sense of betrayal here?
Definitely. Definitely.
They want to know if those secret tests have anything to do with what they're observing with their own eyes.
I lost my two older siblings to cancer. I lost a brother last month.
I've been diagnosed recently with a rare form of lymphoma.
I had cancer of the left kidney, had partial removal of my left kidney.
News Nation reached out to the Army for answers. They provided a one-page response. It says the Army's own Center for Health Promotion and Preventive Medicine investigated in 1994 and found inhalation exposure would not pose a health risk. They also cite later corroborating reviews, including a 1997 review by the National Research Council. Perhaps they assumed we wouldn't read the NRC's 380-page report, but we did, and the Army's statement doesn't show the full picture. In that 1997 review, the National Research Council explicitly says repeated exposure to zinc cadmium sulfide can cause kidney or bone toxicity or lung cancer if levels are high enough. And they admitted they couldn't fully assess the risk. Why? Because some Army records remain classified, it says, for national security reasons. More troubling, key Army exposure records were missing, and when the NRC asked the Army to supply them, the Army said it couldn't find them. Finally, the NRC considered conducting its own study, but concluded it wasn't feasible. In short, it did not test the site, collect samples, or test residents, and they didn't have access to all the data. Their review was based on what the Army gave them, and what the Army either could not find or withheld. The Army ends its statement to News Nation by saying, quote, none of the reports contained evidence of a radioactive component to the zinc cadmium sulfide dispersion tests. Residents say the secrecy and delays are no accident.
They're waiting us out.
They're waiting on all of us to die.
But that's not even the whole story, as residents demand to know what else could have been in that spray.
They have not come clean with what was in there.
Do you believe that it was just zinc cadmium sulfide in that spray?
No.
No.
We go to the source, a researcher who has spent decades declassifying government documents about these tests.
Do you believe the U.S. government sprayed some kind of radioactive material on the residents of St. Louis? I believe that they did.
And the government's surprising response to our request to declassify information.
I mean, what the hell?
Plus, renowned activist Erin Brockovich weighs in.
Do you think there's been a lie here, a cover-up here?
It sure looks that way.
The residents are asking for an apology from the government for being experimented on. They are asking for compensation for health studies for themselves and their children. They're also asking for transparency. They want the government to release all the documents about the spraying. So, Elizabeth, tomorrow night on your show, we will go on a journey to try to declassify the one government document that a key researcher tells us she has never been able to expose. And we take the investigation to Erin Brockovich. For the residents still here, still fighting, the question is whether they will get any answers before it's too late. Elizabeth, well.
They're not getting any answers. Imagine if News Nation did an investigation on the miracle. You don't got to wait 50 years here now. Let's take our live commercial break. Everybody go to weaponizednews.com. Get yourself some stickers over there. We got the holograph sticker, the white background sticker, and the clear sticker. Put it on your laptop, your bumper, your guitar, your work locker, and help support independent reporting and analysis that we bring you here 5 days a week at Weaponized News. Go to weaponizednews.com. Links in the description below. We'll take donations, buy some stickers, other items in the store at weaponizednews.com. Let's hear a word from our sponsor. Then we'll get to the second half of the show. A lot of geopolitical news has been developing over the last few days here now. The SCO world order, the new world order, as we're charging into a new era at warp speed. Let's hear from Abazaba Enterprises. And we'll be back with the second half of the show for you.
Running a small business feeling overwhelmed by numbers and paperwork? Abazaba Enterprises has your back. Our expert business solutions include accounting, QuickBooks support, payroll, taxes, and top-notch consulting. Let us handle the details so you can focus on growing your business. Business Solutions Accounting, QuickBooks, Consulting, Payroll, Taxes. Call 559-577-9250. Call Abazaba Enterprises today at 559-577-9250 for stress-free solutions.
And we're back. Welcome back to the second half of Weaponized News on this September 1st, 2025, Labor Day. Happy Labor Day to those out there on the interweb celebrating today, as I'm working tirelessly here at Weaponized News for you. My government used me like a guinea pig, one of the victims in that report said. Well, U.S. government right now is complicit in an ongoing genocide there in Gaza. We'll get to that reporting. So, I mean, they're pure evil. This government is pure evil. They're dark occultists at the top running it, doing ritualistic blood sacrifices to their god or gods, the devil, whatever you want to call it, the dark force in this universe. And you better believe they're gaining power out of it. It was 800. I think I misspoke at the beginning and said 80. It was 800. So today is a trend of earthquakes as we went through this day in history. Earthquakes killing a lot of people. What the hell? I blame the government. Now, I do believe Mother Nature. We do have earthquakes is a thing, and it does kill people. Afghan spend night in open after earthquake kills more than 800 there in Afghanistan. And so quite horrific. What was that big one? It was Tokyo, like 100. What was it? Let me go back and take a look here on our history. When was it? 1923 on this day, 7.9 magnitude earthquake hit Tokyo and Yokohama, Japan, killing an estimated 142,000 people. Fast forward to today, this earthquake there in Afghanistan killed an estimated 800. So quite a trend of earthquakes on this day in history. Continuing here. Should we take a look at this? Is he joking? I don't know. The guy's a comedian. Comedian Tim Dillon makes clear Saudi Arabia is paying him enough money to look the other way. Is this just a joke? I don't know. Let's hear from comedian Tim Dillon on defending his decision to join a comedy festival in Saudi Arabia. Let's take a quick listen to this and see what you make of it. Keep in mind, he is a comedian.
Now, people might say to me, hey, you're coming out and saying you're doing the Saudi thing for money. They're paying you a lot of money. I'm not going to tell you how much they're paying me. It doesn't matter. Doesn't matter how much they're paying me $375,000 for one show. Now, a lot of other people are getting $1.6 million. That's not me. I'm not in that bracket. But they're giving me $375. Others are getting $150. Why are they doing it? Here's the point. Okay? I am doing this because they're paying me a large sum of money. They're paying me enough money to look the other way. Do you understand? Israel gave none of us any money and expected we were all going to just defend them. For what? For no money? For $0? The threat that I won't get a sitcom on ABC Family? I'm supposed to go out and defend this genocide because maybe I won't be on ABC I won't get to play a gym teacher on a network that won't be in business, and I'm supposed to care about that? Who gives a fuck? Where's the money, you bum?
At least he's being honest. They should have spread around the propaganda money a little bit more to comedians, and they could have done a better job on selling their genocide. Over to Brazil now, part of BRICS. Bolsonaro, former president, accused of staging a coup, rigging elections there in Brazil, has now been placed on house arrest. The government there now, the Lula government, says due to fears that Bolsonaro may flee the country, he's actually wearing an ankle monitor on house arrest for the past several weeks. So where's the rest of the American government? Not likely to happen here, but trust the plan and act like an idiot. Burkina Faso passes law criminalizing homosexuality. That's not very liberal of them there. This guy, the president or warlord leader, whatever you want to call him, they don't like the gays there. So that's not very liberal. On to Venezuela. As tensions increase, between America and Venezuela. 8 warships carrying an estimated 1,200 missiles, along with a nuclear submarine, are trolling the coast there of Venezuela as we speak. And the president there, Maduro, he says Venezuela is confronting the biggest threat that has been seen on our continent in the last 100 years. I don't know about that. America been down there overthrowing a lot of governments over the last 100 years. You know what I mean? And he hasn't even got overthrown yet. But he's trying to hype it up a little bit. I understand. I'd be concerned too. He has a $50 million bounty placed on his head. And one of his top commanders here now, Venezuela's defense minister, this character, and again, no good guys. I don't support Venezuela. They're freaking scumbag commies, but our government are scumbag, whatever, commie pieces of globalist, oligarch piece of garbage too. You know what I mean? So take a look at this. Yeah, $15 million reward for Vladimir Perino Lopez for conspiracy to distribute cocaine on board an aircraft registered in the United States. Again. Who's running the whole show? America, the crime syndicate, running all the contraband trafficking in the world at the top. So I guess he didn't pay off enough. They put a $15 million bounty on his head, issued by the DEA there and the U.S. State Department. Let's take a look at Guyana and Venezuela on the map here to remind everybody. I remember reporting probably a year ago now, but there was a bunch of oil discovered like right around here, you know what I mean? All in here, a bunch of oil and natural gas discovered. And that's a continuing theme. And Venezuela was, beating the war drums a little bit there against Guyana. And so that perked the interest of America, the Anglo-American establishment. And so, yeah, when you got all this oil right here and natural gas discovered, things are going to happen. The big dogs, Venezuela was the big dog. Now here comes America, the bigger dog, the hegemon. And so did they really care about the drug trafficking there out of Venezuela and the people of Venezuela? Or is all of this about petroleum? We should ask ourselves that question. Brazilian President Lula will convene virtual BRICS meeting next Monday to discuss U.S. trade tariffs, according to a report out of Bloomberg. And we're getting to the new world order. This is what old Alex Jones was telling us for a long time. I'm still not buying it, but populist right-wing parties are now leading polls in Europe's 3 biggest economies for the first time ever. I don't put much stock in any of these polls. I didn't take the time to read the methodology, but here's the report. Frances Marie Le Pen, of course, is leading the polling there, and UK's Nigel Farage in the UK, and Germany's AfD is now ahead. This is according to a report out of the Wall Street Journal. The new world order is on the run. The globalists are losing. That's what old Alex Jones kept telling us for a long time. I was just like, it's not true. It's just simply not true. You know what I mean? And we went over all these reports proving it, Simon and I. But anyhow, China and Russia back Iran against European push to reimpose UN nuclear sanctions. The UN Security Council permanent members, China and Russia, sided with Iran in opposing a European initiative to reinstate UN sanctions on Tehran that had been eased a decade ago under a nuclear agreement. A letter signed by the foreign ministers of China and Russia and Iran argued that the attempt by Britain, France, Germany to reimpose sanctions through a so-called snapback mechanism was legally and procedurally flawed. As there's hype there in the background, Bibi, our shadow president here of America, said, I forget what, Iran's going to strike America with nukes. You know what I mean? That's the same rhetoric we've been hearing for the last 30 years. And we got to take them out, right? Yeah. Okay. And so the big meeting actually was going on over the weekend here. The old SCO meeting, the Shanghai Cooperation Organization, the SCO New Order, New World Order, New World Order, New Era, as we continue to report here at Weaponized News. The Chinese President Xi condemned what he called bullying behavior in global affairs and urged regional leaders to oppose Cold War mentality as he opened a high-profile SCO summit today. Or I guess it would be yesterday, depends on your time zone. Anyway, a remark widely viewed as aimed at the United States. Of course, it was aimed at the hegemonic power, the United States. Xi warned that the world was becoming increasingly chaotic and intertwined and urged the bloc to uphold the Shanghai spirit and strengthen its roles amid global turbulence. The SCO, which brings together China, India, Russia, Pakistan, Iran, and Central Asian states, positions itself as a non-Western alternative to traditional alliances. Xi called on members to align development strategies, deepen Belt and Road cooperation, and pursue win-win growth, announcing a 2 billion yuan or $281 million grant to support SCO states this year. Leaders including the most evil man in the world, Russia's Vladimir Putin, India's Modi, and Belarus's Loroshenko attended the gathering. That's the thumbnail here. The SCO World Order. Here it is. So here's your Eastern developing countries, new World Order leaders. As again, it looks like a soft power shift may result in hard power shift in all-out war, but a soft power shift here now from the West to the East. But it's the same technocracy. You understand? And so here's all these characters. Again, there's no good guys. There's no good guys. Here they are. Modi, Putin, and Xi. Let's see their little gaggle huddle here. Seen at the SCO meeting. No audio here. No audio. As Trump says, Indian oil purchases from Russia are fueling the Russian war machine as EU and America continue to fuel Ukraine's war machine. And so there you have it. SCO World Order. As all of this stuff is coming online, it does take a while to develop, for sure. Any other details about this? I think we pretty much laid it out. Xi announced ambitious initiatives such as accelerating SCO Development Bank, establishing an energy cooperation platform focused on green energy, pledging $1.4 billion in loans to members over the next 3 years, and opening access to China's satellite system to them. Putin supported these efforts, criticizing Western sanctions as neo-colonialism and advocating for reforms in global institutions like the IMF and World Bank. It's hard to argue with that, you know what I mean? But Putin ain't no good either, neither's Xi. They're all tyrannical maniacs. But we have this problem in society. We want to romanticize these puppets of governments that are serving the technocracy, the oligarchy, morphing into technocracy. And so, yeah, the three big dogs there, Russia, China, India, getting very close. Bilateral highlights include Xi and Modi's first meeting in 7 years, where they vowed to resolve a long-standing Himalayan border dispute that had strained relations since 2020 amid India's grievances over U.S. tariffs doubling to 50% for purchasing Russian oil. The summit expanded the SCO's reach, with Laos joining as a dialogue partner, bringing the total to 27 members and partners, including Iran, Pakistan, Central Asian nations, while underscoring the group's focus on security against terrorism, separatism, and extremism, though critics view it as bolstering authoritarian regimes. Well, indeed, there. Indeed. Yeah, we went over the unity, the pledges there. They're trying to create their own development bank, i.e. World Bank, i.e. IMF. And so big meeting there, signaling geopolitical shift. And a whole lot of countries saying, America, we're done. We're done with you. We're going a different direction here now, as continues to develop. U.S. African Command launches 2 more strikes against al-Shabaab in Somalia. The U.S. has launched at least 71 airstrikes in Somalia so far this year under the Trump administration. And so Trump shall get a peace prize for bombing Somalia 71 times. Right? And continuing here, I don't know I forget if I even reported on this, but there's a saga going on in Beverly Hills, California, about a resolution to put up the aardvark flag there at the public schools. And turns out that the effort has failed now. And so they're rolling that back, the effort to put up aardvark flags at Beverly Hills schools in an effort to recognize aardvark heritage, they claim. So Beverly Hills has voted to cancel their plan to display aardvark flags at all public schools, citing safety concerns and the tremendous backlash they faced on social media. So I guess they won't be displaying the aardvark flags there at Beverly Hills public schools, sadly, because nothing says America like an aardvark flag, right? And didn't Bibi say you're not MAGA if you're not aardvark first? Something like this, to paraphrase and misquote him, but it was something like that in that spirit. A massive aid flotilla carrying activists and supplies to Gaza, including Greta Thunberg, was forced to return to Barcelona due to stormy weather. Organizers said winds reached 56 kilometers per hour, making it too risky for small boats to make the trip. Remember her last attempt, Greta, her last attempt was jacked there by aardvarks. And so I think this one probably would be too, but it was aardvark weather weapons. No, I'm just making that up. There is such a thing as Mother Nature still, I believe that, small boats on the big sea, not good. Over the weekend, the aardvarks whacked a bunch of Yemenis. Surprised they don't whack them all at that big million-man march they do every Friday and just take them all out. Honestly, I am surprised that has not happened yet. But the aardvarks whacked a bunch of their cabinet here. Scenes from Suana, Yemen, of the funeral of Yemeni Prime Minister Rawi and his fellow ministers. They whacked a whole bunch of them, all these characters right here. I'm not even going to attempt to pronounce all their names, but there they are. Aardvarks assassinated him, the prime minister and nearly his entire cabinet, all of these characters. After the aardvark strikes on Sana, Yemen, that associated al-Rawi, prime minister of the National Government of Change and Construction, alongside 12 other government officials. U.S. Senator Lindsey Graham called Ansarullah religious Nazis and set a goal to destroy all Iranian proxies in 2025. Here's that post by closeted homosexual Lindsey Graham, senator out of South Carolina. I don't understand how anyone could vote for this warmonger piece of trash, but somehow he keeps getting that. Well, he has President Trump's endorsement on top of it all. Channel 12 out of Aardvark land says that the Army will begin recruiting 60,000 reserve soldiers tomorrow in preparation for continued fighting in Gaza. The first call-ups will include 5 reserve brigades totaling 15,000 soldiers. They're cranking it up, man. They're cranking it up for the big wipeout there, the big massacre. In the last 24 hours, according to the Gaza Health Ministry, 98 Palestinians in Gaza have been killed, 404 others injured. But hey, they're all Hamas terrorists, so what the hell are you going to do? You know what I mean? And the siege, famine, hospitals received 46 dead and 239 injured from food aid distribution site violence. Aardvark Army Radio announces a new suicide in their military, and that's a continuing theme here, as it seems some aardvarks actually do have a conscience, and they can't bear the war crimes that they've committed and wind up committing suicide, as many soldiers with a conscience do all around the world. War is hell. It's horrific. Stop killing people. And so now their soldiers, aardvark soldiers, are suffering a fate of suicide. It's quite horrific. And it's being reported aardvark army have been injured over there now. So there's a little tiny bit of pushback against the most advanced weapons the world's ever seen, from men in caves throwing sticks and stones at them. But a few have been reported injuries and casualties, I do believe, a couple there as they drive through Gaza City. Netanyahu says Trump told him no partial deals, go ahead with full force in Gaza. So there's Trump's complicity in genocide. But what the hell? Call everybody antiseptic, and I guess that's good enough. Well, it's losing traction quickly here now. It's losing traction very quickly. Netanyahu said, who's never lied, right? So for all we know, he's lying about what Trump told him, but it wouldn't surprise me either way. Forget the partial deals, go in with full force, finish it. So what, kill all these people, 1 million people? That's essentially what he's saying there. If these reports are to be believed, wouldn't surprise me. Trump to the Daily Caller. Aardvark land may be winning the war, but they're not winning the world of public relations, you know, and it is hurting them. Well, yeah. So Trump can see that clear as day. The propaganda is not selling anymore. They literally have to take over TikTok, censor everything off the webs, pass laws to censor your free speech, go after university protesters, not let they target journalists there in Gaza reporting on the ground and terminate them. Don't let international reporters in to report on the genocide. And even with all that, the propaganda is not working. The noticing will continue here now because the bodies are getting stacked too high. Again, the Daily Caller, Trump told him, Aardvark land was the strongest lobby I've ever seen. They had total control over Congress, and now they don't. I would argue they do still. I'm a little surprised to see that. Well, that's America first, right? If Trump was truly America first, wouldn't he be jumping up and down saying, why does this foreign lobbyist group, AIPAC and others, but AIPAC's the biggest one, everybody knows, but there's other ones too. Why are they not required to register as foreign agents? And why the hell are so many in our Congress beholden to them? America first. It's naked hypocrisy on its face. Here's quotes from Trump, a Daily Caller interview. Daily Caller says there's a growing group within MAGA, America First Coalition, Republicans, especially young Republicans, who are skeptical of our support for Aardvark land. Are you aware of this group? Are you worried about it? Yeah, I'm aware of it. So Aardvark land is amazing. Direct quote from Trump, right? Yeah, because I have good support from Aardvark land. Nobody has done more for Aardvark land than I have, including the recent attacks with Iran, wiping that thing out. That plane wiped them out like nobody ever saw before. We got back, and CNN was trying to say, well, maybe it wasn't complete, and turned out totally complete, beyond complete. But if you go back 20 years, I will tell you, Aardvark land has the strongest lobby in Congress of anybody, of anything or anybody, or of any company or corporation or state that I've ever seen. Aardvark land was the strongest. Today, it doesn't have that strong a lobby. It's amazing. I would argue with Trump about that. Go check out these guys right here, the AIPAC tracker. Oh, what did Trump get? Oh, he got 230 million, and that's of the beginning of his presidency, from pro-aardvark interest groups. You know what I'm saying? And he's saying it. Direct quote from Daily Caller. Right here. Again, Trump says, where was it at? It says aardvark land's amazing because, you know, I have good support from aardvark land. That's America first. What the? Oh. I see. Aardvark land defense chiefs told Netanyahu that Gaza City's takeover won't defeat Hamas. They're telling him again, you can't defeat an idea with violence, and urged limited hostage deal instead. They warned an invasion would drag on for a year, cost many lives, and worsen Aardvark land's global standing. You don't say. Some Likud ministers even likened Gaza to becoming Aardvark's Vietnam. You don't say. They don't care. Other IDF has said the same thing. They said you can't kill an idea. They don't care. But you can't kill all the people. And they're going to go about doing that. Leading genocide scholars organization says Aardvark land is committing genocide in Gaza. They're antiseptic and all need to be sanctioned, right? Is that AP reporting? It's all over the mainstream. AP, Reuters, whatever. Your whole international news wire, man. It's there for the world to see. It is there for the world to see here now, but not America, because we don't want to be antiseptic.
Yeah, well, if not a consensus, then certainly a growing chorus of voices across the spectrum who are saying that what Israel is carrying out in Gaza is not simply a war, but is also a genocide. This is now coming from the leading association representing genocide scholars around the world, with more than 600 members from multiple countries around the world. And what they have determined in this latest statement is that Israel's actions in Gaza have now, in their view, met the legal definition of genocide as enshrined in the United Nations Convention for the Protection and Prevention and Punishment of the Crime of Genocide. They also say that Israel's actions in Gaza constitute war crimes and crimes against humanity, and they are calling on Israel to cease all actions that meet these definitions of genocide, war crimes, and crimes against humanity. Of course, before this association of genocide scholars, we had heard individually from a number of genocide scholars, including one Israeli scholar of genocide who wrote a very poignant and impactful op-ed in the New York Times just a couple of months ago. We've also seen two Israeli leading human rights organizations say that they now believe that genocide is indeed being carried out in the Gaza Strip. Now, the Israeli government, for its part, adamantly rejects any notion that it is carrying out a genocide in Gaza, insisting that all of its actions in Gaza are consistent with its military campaign against the militant group Hamas in response for its attack on Israel on October 7th. We do know, of course, that 63,000 plus people have now been killed in Gaza, a majority of whom are women and children, according to the Palestinian Ministry of Health there. And as we are seeing this latest declaration American assessment from this group of scholars of genocide in Gaza. We are watching the next phases of this war in the Gaza Strip as Israel is intensifying its attacks on Gaza City ahead of a planned full-scale invasion of that city. Those attacks indeed intensifying both bombardment from the air as well as artillery strikes that have killed 135 people at least since just this past Friday. And once again, among the dead and the injured, we are seeing scenes of children as we do all too often in the past. What we are also seeing, Eleni, are scenes of thousands of people beginning to flee Gaza City. It still represents just a small fraction of that city's population of nearly 1 million people, but it is a harbinger of what is likely to come. As thousands begin to flee now, nearly 1 million people are now at risk of forced displacement, according to the United Nations, and all of this, of course, expected to worsen the humanitarian situation in Gaza, as Israel has now ended the aid drops over Gaza City, as well as those 10 hours per day tactical pauses that were allowing for humanitarian aid to begin to flow into that city. Eleni.
Jeez Louise, man. Took them long enough. Aardvark land considers, they're doing it. That's why I don't get these reports. Considers West Bank annexation. They're already doing it as a counter measure. We had Smotrick last couple of weeks. He said it's a done deal. I don't know why they say considering. Considering annexation of the West Bank as Palestinian statehood recognition gains momentum. So now we've got France, Australia, Canada, Portugal, and UK, along with 140 other nations set to recognize Palestinian statehood at the United Nations. But if they're all terminated, then there will be no state because there will be no people. So all of that is coming up. Finance Minister Smotrich and Ben-Gvir, as well as all the settler leadership, opposed the idea of partial annexation involving specific strips or settlement blocks and are instead pushing for the maximalist approach, applying aardvark sovereignty over all the territory not inhabited by Palestinians. The move would allow aardvark land to encircle the Palestinian population centers, further undermining the viability of a contiguous Palestinian state. And isn't that the point? Ben-Gvir expands gun licensing for illegal aardvark settlers in the occupied West Bank. And so Ben-Gvir today announced a major expansion of his controversial gun licensing scheme, making another 100,000 illegal aardvark settlers eligible for private firearm permits. Remember, they're shooting at Russian diplomats, shooting at UN diplomats. Anybody that comes around there, they attack their own IDF. They're freaking crazy. So, hey, arm them all up. Yeah, what the hell? You know what I mean? It's freaking beyond the pale of insanity, but that is war, I guess. And so that's where we're at here. The policy introduced after the start of the aardvark's genocide in Gaza in late 2023 has already resulted in well over 230,000 new licenses being issued. Yeah. Are they going to issue gun permits to the Palestinians there? Nah, probably not. Probably not. But here's this psychopath, Ben-Gvir. Remember, he's famous. There's been multiple incidences of He'll pull out a gun on you on other aardvarks in aardvark land for taking his parking spot was one of the incidents I remember. And like just walking down the street to pull out his gun on people on other aardvarks, like a complete psychopath. But what the hell? Don't be anti-septic. He's the national security minister. Yeah. Palestinians face severe water shortages in the West Bank. And so it's not only Gaza, it's the West Bank as well. As the policy of siege, famine, and weaponizing hunger is extended to the West Bank. They're blocking clean water there now as well, creating shortages. And what was it? Okay, aardvarks are famous for poisoning the well, right? But that's all antiseptic made up, right? Is what they tell us is the story. Throughout history, they're famous for poisoning the well, right? But we see it again here, a continuing trend throughout history. Palestinians in occupied West Bank parched as settler attacks target water supplies. Palestinians in the occupied West Bank are experiencing acute water shortages, which they attribute to escalating attacks on limited water resources by extremist aardvark settlers. Across Palestinian communities, residents report dry house taps and farms left without irrigation. The UN documented 62 incidents in the first 6 months of 2025 in which aardvark settlers vandalized water wells, pipelines, irrigation systems, and other water-related infrastructure in the West Bank. The aardvark military confirmed receiving multiple reports of settlers deliberately damaging water infrastructure, but stated that no suspects had been identified. Targets have included a fresh water spring and water distribution system. All right, friends, that's all we have for today. But everybody's recognizing it. I mean, what do we even say at this point? And who is it? Let's go to the group here. Did I have it? I think I had it on some other tabs. Here's the group, another group. Friggin' took them long enough. Took these characters long enough. We're 63,000 plus officially dead there in Gaza. But International Association of Genocide Scholars now says it's a genocide. We here at Weaponized News told you this a long time ago. But now the official scholars are even recognizing it, along with the United Nations, along with all these other countries, and on and on and on it goes. So these are the guys making the headlines today. The International Association of Genocide Scholars. I don't know, they study genocide as scholars, the quote experts. And what the hell, sanction them? They're antiseptic as well. You know what I'm saying? As Trump says that, yeah, it's the most wonderful thing ever, signing off. What are you going to do with 1 million some odd people there? You know what I mean? What are they going to do with them? You're leaving one way or another, I guess, is the plan. You know what I mean? A gun to the head, ethnic cleansing, and they just may whack you anyway for the hell of it, as we continue to see. They've made a sport out of it. Again, genocide, ethnic cleansing, war crimes, crimes against humanity. America is complicit in this. That's all I got for today. Let's pray for peace over there. We're not going to get it. We're not going to get it because these dark occultists are hell-bent on blood sacrifice and stealing all the land and natural resources. And that's has been more than evident propping up the lies of October 7th. They implement the Hannibal Doctrine. They whack their own people, for crying out loud. You know what I mean? So with that, have a happy Labor Day. Let me go to the channels quickly. It's going to be us. It's going to be America and Aardvark land and the whole rest of the world, basically. And we'll still be saying you're anti-septic. We're going to sanction you. And why are you building new banking systems? You know what I mean? To hitch our wagon to these maniacs is just, it's a losing proposition. It's a major strategic error. But we know they're committed through many different evil means here now. Okay, over to the Odysee. I see John and Gur there. Shout out to you guys. Let's see what they say. I'm going to do a circle back. Well, circle back there, Gur. I know Gur's like times are all messed up to watch us at a reasonable hour, but shout out to you on the Odysee, Gur. And circle back when you're got time to watch the show. John says, now Orange Jesus acts like he knows nothing about the deaths and disability caused by the miracles he promoted. Did he not call himself the father of the miracle? He did. He did, indeed. Trump deserves gold gallows for his part in genocide. Maduro responded with a $50 million reward for Epstein files. The international Aardvark banking cartel, Aardvark organized crime seem to be running everything. Well, that's just a conspiracy theory, John. Just a conspiracy theory on the interwebs, even though we point out that it's very well established, I do believe, here now. But hey, what the hell? Don't be antiseptic. Thank you guys for tuning in on the Odysee. The Bitchute as well. Bitchute, I got like 5-6 shows hung up on Bitchute, but for those listening live now, thank you. And hopefully we'll get Bitchute to load up all those great shows from last week that we did for your on-demand viewing pleasure. Shout out to the X, the Rumble, lively chat as always. Thank you everybody for joining us over on the X, the Kick, the Twitch, the Facebook, the YouTube. Thank you for joining us on all the channels. Have a great Labor Day. And again, there's no good guys in any of these governments, organizations. They're not good. They're vying for power, and the rest of us with some type of sanity left suffer for pointing out how evil they all are. And with that, everybody do your own research, peace, love, and freedom. Speak out and take action. Have a great rest of your Monday evening. We'll be back here on Tuesday for more Weaponized.